All right, Miles, let's talk Nebraska Cornhuskers for a little bit. This program is in the news very recently, involving none other than head coach Matt Rhule, who I think Rhule has done a fantastic job with the way he's rebuilt this culture. He's got a lot of momentum behind this program. Frankly, for the first time in a long time, the way he's handling this thing, I think is doing a fantastic job. And we've got a new report out of this program that kind of sheds the light on everything Matt Rhule's trying to do that I think Nebraska fans will really appreciate.
Yeah, Nick, I think Matt Rhule has done a fantastic job. You think new coach, you think new players, you think a new culture down at Nebraska. Let's take a step back, though, and think about the past and think about the past quarterbacks in Nebraska Cornhusker history. And I want to ask the fans in the comments below, who's been your favorite Nebraska quarterback of all time? Let us know in the comments below. I'm interested to hear your answers. I'm sure there's a lot of options that we can go through. But, Nick, nonetheless, you talk about comments that are made. You talk about things that are going on. Let's hear what's happening down in Nebraska.
Yeah, so Matt Rhule has done a fantastic job. He's gotten a lot of praise for everything he's done, getting localish recruits. He's reached out to kind of guys and high school coaches and different people in the infrastructure in the area around the state of Nebraska and similar regions there. And he's done a fantastic job reconnecting some of the links that have been lost over the last few years. And he's rebuilt this culture kind of in the model of an old school program, obviously going back to trying to recreate the Nebraska glory years of the past few decades. And he's done a great job of it. He's got a lot of acclaims, pat on the back for how he's handled it up to this point. And that leads me to a very interesting report involving some comments Matt Rhule made, and this is according to ProBible.com. Miles, if you want to go and throw up the report, I'll read from it here. Rhule addressed the media in a press conference over the weekend where he took an apparent shot at Deion Sanders, among others. The comments came in references to his outlook on the transfer portal. Quote, I hear other schools talking about, I can't wait for today, the transfer portal, unquote, Rhule stated before continuing to say, quote, well, I can't wait to coach my guys, unquote, noting his desire to work with what he's got. Others, like Colorado, were seen posting clips promoting the portal as they look to quickly revamp their rosters. It's worked thus far for the Buffaloes, who have the nation's top-ranked transfer class. All right, Miles, I think one of the best things about college football is just the rivalry dynamic because of different stylistic teams, right? Because if you look at the NFL and rivalries, every NFL team is essentially the same with how they're structured. There's obviously differences, but generally it's the same environment. Everyone has the same overall kind of mentality. It's just different players at quality, different positions, things like that. But overall, people run the same kind of schemes, offenses, mentalities, and things like that. Cultures, the whole kit and caboodle. College is different. You have stylistic differences across programs, really directly correlated with the head coach. Matt Rhule, old school, talks about recruiting, local, building up the team the other way, not focused quite as much on the transfer portal, trying to revamp the culture to building a solid foundation and working off that. Compare that with Deion Sanders in Colorado, right? He's about bringing in the transfer guys, getting rid of some of the other players he doesn't like. He's trying to be flashy, uses social media, things like that. Completely stylistically different than what Matt Rhule is doing at Nebraska. And I love the fact that Matt Rhule came out, and this was obviously, it's not a direct shot, it's kind of a subtle dig, but in terms of coach speak and how these handle things outside of the SEC, this is probably as brutal of an attack, even though it sounded kind of tame, as you'll see out of any coach. I really love Matt Rhule coming out and sticking it to Colorado and Deion Sanders, because we've heard all offseason how great Sanders and Colorado have done, and they've done a good job. Like, have a great job in the transfer portal class. But there is a merit to what Matt Rhule is doing with Nebraska as well, and I'm really interested to see how it shakes out. Miles, give me your thoughts on Rhule's comments and everything with this Nebraska program and this, obviously growing Colorado rivalry, it seems.
Yeah, Nick. I mean, this is the dichotomy of college football here. You have one way, which is homegrown, corn-fed Nebraska home talent versus, the flashier, more new school Colorado transfer portal. And I think, Matt Rhule, he must have picked up some of this smack talk over the weekend when he was at WWE SmackDown. Getting some chants, people calling him the people's head coach or whatever the case may be. But I do think they're two very different programs stylistically, and they're two rival programs. This rivalry is already building between Matt Rhule, Deion Sanders. This Colorado-Nebraska rivalry is rebutting in a fantastic way, and I think it's going to be really big. But it's like you said, there are two different ways, or there's multiple different ways to coach and build a college football program, and Matt Rhule does it one way, Deion Sanders does it the other way. And I don't really think there's a wrong way as long as you get the results. So this is going to be a season. Can Deion Sanders' immediate flood of talent, of transfer portal guys that probably are going to kind of upset some of your guys that were there originally, will that work? Or is Matt Rhule's more, build from who we have, build the program up, this turnaround artist style of things, homegrown talent, is that going to be the way? Recruit your way into a great head coach team. Is that the way this is going to be successful? And I'm excited to watch this season, see how the programs, progress throughout the season, see who's going to have a more successful program. And because I'm sure these comments are not going to be the last comments made throughout the season between these two head coaches. And I think it's going to make for a heck of a season this season to see these two guys go at each other's throats for the rest of the season.
Yeah, because I think, like you alluded to, Miles, we're kind of at a weird crossing roads in college football where there still is enough of the old school recruit and develop talent over time and build a program, but there's still a lot of the new school with the NIL money, social media, and all that. Bring in transfer guys, completely rebuild a program overnight. Deion Sanders is on the polar end of one side of it. Matt Rhule's on the polar end of the other. And this is going to be a very interesting battle because this is kind of a microcosm of the entire battle of college football right now, the mix of the old and the new. And the old, to its credit, has been extremely successful. You look at Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, they use transfer guys too. They're all about building programs. They're still winning national titles. We haven't seen a guy come in fully dedicated to the transfer portal yet, like the way Deion Sanders is Colorado, take the next step and win a national title. But there is sort of a pull in that direction using social media, NIL, the transfer portal to the extreme like that. That seems to be a direction where a lot of programs like to go right now in college football. Matt Rhule and Nebraska are sticking to the old school, the tried and true, the proven method. I tend to like building your team from the ground up. I understand the transfer portal temptation. You can revamp very quickly, but I love building a solid foundation with recruits and develop those kids over time. Eventually, I think that'll work out in the long run. But no matter whatever happens, I think it's great to see this rivalry revamped, and I'm really excited to see how the regular season matchup shakes out.